Right. Morning. Welcome. Happy Saturday. Right. Okay. It's okay. I did up today, so let's do that. Yeah. So, welcome. First of all, thanks for watching. If you are new and don't know, my name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. I usually stream at this time each week, Saturday mornings around 10 a.m. Central Time, working on stuff related to CircuitPython. If you don't know what CircuitPython is, you can learn more about it at the main website for the project, circuitpython.org. It is basically a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. Typically, the way these work, you plug them into your computer, it shows up like a thumb drive. You can run some Python code on there by saving a file to it. In particular, today, I am following on where I left off yesterday, which is actually over here in Blinko land, which is a compatibility layer that makes it so that you can run code that is sort of compatible with CircuitPython, but you can do it on a larger PC like a Raspberry Pi, a full Linux computer. Um, and so that's what we are doing today. We're on the Pi. I actually have switched over. Yesterday we were using the Pi 5. Today we are back to the Pi 4 because we are going to be doing the... Oh, I need to find a link to that. Let me do that. I logged in. Okay. We are actually on the Pi 4, and I am specifically looking to test this install manually process. So we're going to go through and figure out how to do that. Hopefully that it's working. Okay. And I did really think to run apt updates before I started, so we don't have to wait on that, which is nice. We should be able to hopefully just pick up where we're at here. Have, if it's working, still hooked up here where we can see the panels. Crashed. Go reset it, 1 second. I ever focused the camera yesterday. All right, so we have the matrix panel. I have swapped out the Pi for a Pi 4. We had the Pi 5, of course, yesterday because we're using PO matter stuff. We might get back into Pi 5 land later, depending on how long this takes and how well it works. This is where we're starting. Manual install for the Pi 4 way. So we need to install Python. Should we have most of the pillow maybe. Like that per se. It had pillow. Okay, could use drive them is in the repo. Information found there in various readmes. It might be all you need. The information that follows. General example of how to get the code and build the main targets. Projects makefile. Easy to clone and build. Repo, CD, and extra stuff. Let me make like a layer. Virtual. Oh yeah, we're going to, but not yet. So let's go in order. CD make. Right, well, that's going. Also, let's go back and say thanks to Adafruit. Adafruit is hardware and software company based out of New York. They're the ones who make CircuitPython possible by paying a team of folks who work on it, including myself, as well as a handful of other folks. If you want to help support CircuitPython and Blinka, because it's not CircuitPython proper, it's not part of this, the microcontroller project that runs on all these devices, but it's part of the larger ecosystem. Then one of the easiest ways to support is just purchasing hardware from them at adafruit.com. They have all kinds of microcontrollers, all kinds of doodads to hook up to your microcontrollers. They have the panels, like what I'm playing with today. They have the triple matrix bonnet, which is a new device that's just been released relatively recently. Here on the new products page. So if you want to get yourself some toys, take a look at what they've got. Thank you to anyone who does, because like I said, it helps support them, which helps them continue paying folks like me to work on open source software. Which, while I will admit to being biased, certainly, I do think is pretty awesome. All right, so make seems to have succeeded mostly. I don't see anything red, at least. I'd say that I read 100% of all of that, but examples and then demo, and then so this says D0. I think we'll need to do something different than D0 probably. Bridge in a minute, I guess. Examples. There is demo. Do these things have like a help? A bunch of arguments we need. Totally. Okay, so we need to do a bunch of these. So we need these for sure. Start building this up. LED rows calls plural. The rows, are they hyphens or are hyphens? So I have So I think these need to be the actual size of a panel, not the full size of everything. In my case, I have 64 by 64 panels hooked up right now. And do that, and then we do need parallel. Oh, interesting. Semicolon. I wonder if this pixel mapper is the same format as the one we saw in the Pi 5 yesterday. Is it LED parallel? I'm going to look real fast at the place where I know this is actually written down. Okay, so one thing we need is mapping. LED GPIO mapping equals regular. It is LED parallel. Oop. Here, LED. Oop, nope. This one, para. We have 3 panels in parallel basically. And then D, this is saying D0 back on the page where we were. This is basically declaring which demo. It's fine. And then I think actually we do need to use one more, which is the slowdown thing. LED slowdown GPIO. Need to use that. Basically, fast Raspberry Pis go too fast for the panels by default, so you need to slow them down with this argument, which you can set to 4 for Raspberry Pi 4, I believe. What? Oh. I think we need to use sudo, actually. Oh. Could do this thing as well. But yeah, we need to use. I'm pretty sure this thing told us, and I just didn't do. Yeah. Let's see, PySound. Okay, I saw this yesterday as well. Maybe. Let's see. Actually, does it say anything about this? Okay. So we need to just use the ignore one. So don't use the built-in sound of the Pi together with this library. It's known to be incompatible. The troubleshooting section in the README for how to disable the sound module. Let's take a look at that real fast. Hardware subsystem that's also used by sound. You can't use them together. If your panel doesn't work, this might be good to start to debug. Something to do with sound. See troubleshooting. It did say troubleshoot, didn't it? Minimal. I've been using a Pi with the GUI and it seems fine for what it's worth. A Pi 4. I think this is an older project, right? I think. Other Pis. And definitely older Pis were. Switch on and off the board sound. DT param audio off in boot config. Yeah, let's do that. And let's also, I guess, just do the one it's telling us here as well, because that's in the same file. It does say boot command line text, but like this one says it's actually going to be boot firmware text. I happen to know from yesterday when I did this the other way. Nano, it's going to have sudo, I'm sure, boot the firmware command line. Audio off. Oh shoot, I can't copy the other one now. Save that. So LC. Both of those. I'm pretty sure we have to reboot that. You see the light? Well, you can see the light. Screen is actually probably the better judge of when it's done. Screen is not visible here. Workspace, back into here, back into here. Hmm. Maybe that doesn't work anymore. This thing says yes instead of off. Maybe it should be no. RAM equals audio equals. Equals this thing equals that thing is kind of a strange type of argument, but for some reason this still seems to think that sound BCM 2835 found that the Pi sound module is loaded. Is that a different DT param? Maybe we should try Raspberry Pi. So why is this saying config text? Hold on, did I just do this wrong maybe? Did it wrong. Oh, I totally did. Yeah, it does say config here. Command line is the other one. So ISO CPU thing, that's the correct spot for that, but that's wrong for this. Config as DT. Reboot once more. Reboot again. Hopefully it's the last time. sound? What else is in here first? Only text files are issue.txt, manline.txt, and config.txt. So, like, we could just do this and then it's supposed to work anyway, but I feel like we should figure out how to make it actually work this way too. We're using Raspberry config interface options one wire. Why is it one? Audio. Say that I'm for that's gonna do anything, but one wire. Oh shoot, I'm reading the wrong one. Checklist. I mean, we're not on a March. I mean, it is the other one. So there is a section at the end called all. So same thing. This doesn't mention anything. So hard. prevents the Pi from outputting audio through the HDMI port or the 3.5mm jack. To implement this, you need to edit the config text loaded that to off after saving reboot. Alternative methods, blacklisting the module. ALSA blacklist. Probe. Any of these have anything? Really? So ALSA, I think that's an audio thing. I guess maybe we... It says editing though, and that file is not actually there. I'm tempted to do Raspy. Person's just like, I had to take this out in order to get sound. Weird. Okay, I think I guess let's right. I mean, is this a real thing? (2012). Oh, problem turning on. Oh, oh. Okay. Okay. Okay, this person just completely did not. Okay. Person just read right past, do not edit this file. Here's where you should go instead, and instead just edited the file anyway. This Raspy config. Tried Raspy config, but I was able to turn it off with turning it off in firmware and then edit. Doing this checklist thing. Okay. Well. Nice. Found what I was looking for earlier. Yeah. So July of last year, basically 1 year ago, is not the author, but some people. I guess it's good enough for me. And they are saying ALSA, so I think we need to make a new one of these. Not use Raspy config, Raspy whatever. Have to be sudo. Blacklist SND M. Go again. Hey, something else happened. Oh. Somebody, not gonna point any fingers, but somebody not plug in the power to the panels. We have another one running the same meta on Twitch. My headphones are broken. Can you reply in the chat? I think there is gonna have to be no. Point. But they are gonna ping me in like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. We'll see. Okay. There we go. Okay. With power actually going to the pixels, we do get our demo tube there. Okay, so I think we should at least mention the sound thing because any users of this are gonna have to do. Oh, there's the ping. Is that 2? I don't think that was 2 minutes. Sorry, I'm fascinated by the Twitch, I guess, art seller meta of my headphones are broken. Please reply in the chat. I guess it's probably because they have a million rooms open and they can't listen to them all. Yeah. I mean, because they do speak English. If you reply to them in the chat, they will talk to you in English at least. Chat. But they must, yeah, they must have so many open that they can't listen to them all. So they say their headphones are broken. It's an interesting opener. There's 2 targets, build and install. The install uses an older setup Pi, where it seems to work. Okay, to create. Okay, hold on. There's build and install. The install uses an older setup Pi. Okay, but it's generally okay to activate the environment and then use install. Make here is run without sudo. Because it's going to the virtual environment. It also works to use build and then manually run setup, the virtual environment active. The build and install are dependent on the main library, so if the goal is to have Python bindings, either of those can be used as the build target. I.e. just build everything in one main. Not sure exactly. I guess maybe you could avoid doing make by itself like we did earlier? Like if you skip that, but then you did one of these, maybe it will still make the main thing? So we need a virtual environment, and then we're gonna do, I'll just do install, because that's what's here, and that's like, while it does mention both, that seems to be the one that it's kind of more leaning towards. So I'm gonna make a virtual environment. I like to put them actually here. So make dir VMs, build this, and then dash mvm what we want it to be for. So matrix VM. Yep. Okay, and then make install. We're in the wrong folder though. I need to go up one. Oh, missing. May take a minute. The automatic installer says it could take up to 15 minutes, but I did not experience that. Although it might do, like, maybe it does sudo apt update and upgrade as part of it, and every time I've done it, I've done that before. That certainly can take 5 to 10 to 15 minutes, or depending on how old your is. Stuff needs to get installed. What kind of network connection you have? Install deprecation warning. Install is deprecated. All right. Leaving binding. Oh, leaving directory. Got bindings Python. So I think now, in order to test it, we kind of have to skip this page pretty much, because this page is testing the main module. So this thing is kind of like split into multiple bits here. There's kind of like the main module, which has all of these compiled C programs. Like, I think these are like C programs that are compiled. That are built using the main module, which I guess is probably written in C. And then there is also a layer of Python bindings, which is what we just installed. So this page, testing install, this is actually just testing the C demos. But Python usage will let us test the actual Python bindings like we just did. In fact, this even has the same stuff here, which is good. It tells you how to do those same things. I think it's good to repeat, because like if you get to here and you happen to have not seen the other page, then like you would be stuck essentially. So we'll run this one. I did notice the other day, I think this one, maybe the math in it doesn't quite math right on these panels, but we'll give this a try. So that is in bindings, Python samples. What other bindings are there? Sorry. Python person myself, but that's interesting. But so yeah, you have to do both, I guess, sudo and virtual environment, which makes it a little bit funky. You have to kind of do it this way. So sudo e environment path equals path by, it's just to pass that in, and then Python, yeah, so then Python, and then we are in the virtual environment, so of course that's going to run the Python in there. Simple square. Why is that not working? It's here. Samples. I didn't go all the way into samples, but I think we can still do this. And then we basically need all the same stuff I used before. Unfortunately, I don't actually have. What I'm going to do is scratchpad. That actually kept the first half of it. No, I never ran it. I forgot to pull up the camera. Okay. So this one, I think it doesn't look necessarily right, depending on your definition of right. But honestly, I think that's kind of the logic in the code's problem. Quick peek here. So simple square. Actually, I'm gonna. Okay. Sample base, super run, while true. Oh yeah, I did. I actually kind of looked into it a little bit. So I think these are the diagonal lines. Side of samples. So okay. Um. Oh, wrong IP. Point of copying that instead of just using the command was that so that basically connects it so that the Pi is mounted as a folder on my computer here, which then lets me open it inside of IDEs like PyCharm. Lets me go and look at the way. I'm guessing this is like, oh yeah. You can't have this be blank pass, or else we could got the for loop also. Take this out even. Okay. So XX. Yeah. So one big crux of the problem here is that this logic essentially assumes a square because it's doing XX, which means it's going to draw a perfectly 45-degree angle. If it wanted to fit all the way across the screen that we actually have, it would need to account for a non-45-degree angle. An artist, if you're interested. I think that's like, I think we're not going to worry about that though. That's kind of just fine. It would be nice if we could at least see the other one though. So maybe let's figure out which one is like not there at all. Of mostly just for my own curiosity. So that one works. So yeah, so the thing is that I have these laid out horizontally, but logically they're actually vertical. They're a tall, narrow stack. So you can see there that's going like 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. And those are starting in the top left corner. Again, like I have it rotated, but that's the top left corner. The other ones are trying to start at... So the y value of x should be fine if we wanted to, like, for instance, have the diagonal come in on the other side. We wanted a diagonal here. Still won't look like the original, but the x must be wrong. Offset canvas height. Set canvas dot create frame canvas. Does that show us? Just do dir. But I also do already know that it has a height and presumably a width also. So let's just go width set. Okay. So it's trying to say height -1 minus x. And if we do this in our heads, okay. The y value, basically we kind of want to swap these. The y value needs to not actually be x because we need it to go way lower. Basically this low, the thing that it's calculating here, I think. But for anyone who's new and doesn't know, I am very much a guess and checker, not a geometry figure outer. Okay, yeah. So for my own curiosity, we figured out why that didn't draw. Totally makes sense. It's kind of a quirk of the fact that the active 3 is vertical. So wait, does this use that pixel mapper thing, or calls? What is sample base? All of these. Could we see that simple mapping in this project somewhere too? Okay. So the main things to note about this in my mind are what's this too? The main things to note are like the sound thing. I had to do that blacklist and the config thing in order to get that to go away. And then it might be worth a mention the IL CPUs or whatever that said, like the other thing that we set in command line. I don't believe was mentioned on any of these pages. Truthfully, that's a thing. You know what? To be honest, both of those honestly apply to both of these ways. So maybe they should be somewhere else. It's like hardware setup though. Yeah, I'm not sure the best place, but I think somewhere should mention the sound thing. And potentially the CPUs thing that it tells you about. Even though it runs, if you don't do that one, the sound one is actually blocking. You have to do that. Well, you either have to do the sound thing or you have to pass the flag that ignores the sound thing problem. But you have to do something. One or the other. I don't see anywhere where it's mentioned in here, really. Just gonna say basic test because I'm not feeling very creative on the name front. I don't know why I added it. Start mapping. I don't know. Oh, actually, I think we want regular anyway, right? These are 64. So presumably we need all those other things, but it does have the arguments as well, so we can pass a bunch that way. In fact, I'm not sure. Do we need to do these here if we have the arguments? Wouldn't it be better to just let the user pass those in? Oh, this one doesn't have those arguments. I see. Okay, yeah, this one's not doing the whole sample base thing. Okay. So we are gonna need those, but also all the other ones we had, like... Oh, what's on? Where? Matrix options, but it has these things. Mapping we did. Once I don't think we care about. That might have been the thing I saw earlier. Hmm. It doesn't have the other ones we needed. It doesn't have parallel panel type, but that seemed like it would be count. It also doesn't have slowdown thing. How do those work? Parallel. How do... Oh, is this like I don't really have experience with the C code behind Python that much. Looks like we can do that. And then we will also need this. So this basically does loop 1,000 times, make a random color at a random location. I'll just leave it like that for a minute, but well, could do what was don't have is matrix the same thing that it had get an offset canvas, which got a matrix create frame canvas. Does matrix have a height width? I have to do that thing first. It does. Okay, let's use those. Okay, so this one takes no arguments. Nice. It's like a colorful, slow static. What does it look like if we take this out? Does it actually go faster, or is that basically as fast as it can go? And then oh, okay. Can go faster. And indeed go faster. Fastest. And pleasing. I still it's kind of cool. 1/4. Well, 4 times as fast. You know what else we could do? This is like purely for my own enjoyment. We could be storing these. So we could say points is a list. We could actually put it here. Get a new one every time. So points is a list, and then we could say points.append xy. And then we could also do another one of these. And go turn it back, basically. So they'll unstatic instead of just blink off when it, well, take this out so it doesn't clear. I mean, it won't matter actually because they'll be black anyway, but so we do this, and then XY we're gonna get off of, let's say, point equals points pop 0 so that we start back at the beginning, pops off, and then that pixel point 0 point, and that's RGB, which no, we actually don't want RGB. We want 0 0 0. I think that makes like pulsing points basically. They all come on and then they all back off. But actually, maybe need this also. Maybe I mean. Okay, there we go. Backs back out, kinda. That's cool. Also, still, I think, a little faster. Yeah. In fact, I like that. Okay. Oh. Huh. I went all the way down looking in the C code. I just read ahead a little bit, read the guide. Tells me exactly what all the options, including these ones we went and looked at. There's actually a bunch of others too. I don't know what these are. Drop privilege thing. Damon. Oh, it even told us this too. We knew we could have seen that this has a height and a width. The brightness also, that's cool. Set pixels pillow, interesting. So that will set an image. I'm assuming that will plot a PIL image object play, but yeah. Okay, I think that that's my main feedback is the sound thing in the config. We should show them how to do that or mention the other argument. I guess probably does get mentioned down here. Mentioned as in it's in the list. It does not seem to be in the I um distracted by that. Yeah, pulse. Okay, I already searched here. Well, it's pulsing though, so the E would mess it up. Yeah, it's not anywhere else though. Okay. But I think we should mention that and or realistically and not or the other way to fix it more permanently. But other than that, all of this stuff is working for me on the triple matrix as long as you also use the correct triple matrix figs, parallel 3, size of your matrices. And in my case, because I'm on a Raspberry Pi 4, I do also need the slowdown as well. But I understand, I think that depends on your Pi, maybe. Okay. Do I want to, what do I want to do next? Do I want to dive, I might call it a day there. Call it a day there. So this was the main thing I wanted to get done for sure on the stream. We did do it, took a little over an hour. We could go back to Pi 5 stuff, but that's going to take me a while to swap. Like, I got to shut everything down because I don't really like to do it with anything on or powered up, so got to kind of get up and do the shuffle around, get everything unplugged, and then take the hat off, put it on the Pi 5, and get resituated, which will take a couple of minutes anyway. Yeah. I think I'm gonna maybe call it a day for now, actually. The stuff that could be done in the Pi 5 world is try the other examples. Yesterday we fixed the scrolling text one to make it work. Some of the others might have similar problems, essentially, where they are gonna kind of be constrained to up here, I'm pretty sure. So it might be good to go back through some of the others, like the mirror and the X display mirror and the things like that. And realistically, we're probably going to want to do the PIL rotation, the same thing we did for the text yesterday. We're going to probably want to put that logic into all of them so that you can actually use this in landscape. It might also be good to try to figure out if we can use one of those mappers. But not certain how those numbers actually correlate. But yeah, I think instead of trying to switch over and get back into Pi 5, I think I'm just going to call it a day for now. We go for a walk, get out before it gets too much hotter, basically. So, thank you to anyone for watching. I hope y'all have a good rest of your Saturday, good rest of your weekend. I will be back next week, I believe, at the usual times, as far as I know, for deep dive on Friday evening, afternoon, depending on your time zone. It could be another time of day for you, depending on your time zone, but it's at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central for deep dive. That's on Friday over on the Adafruit channel, and then here on my channel, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central. I am usually here working on CircuitPython and the surrounding stuff. If you want to catch more, you can follow me there. See you later, and have a good one.